first pose I thought I would have you do is you can either use your block or your whatever, your blanket, whatever you have, but to do a twist. So you bring the knees to the chest, you put the block to the side, and bring the legs over. You can start on either side. This is me with my legs to the right side. Now, one of the things you can play with here is you can start with the knees a little bit lower until you sort of adjust, and then you can start to bring the block higher towards the hand, and you get more you get a sort of deeper twist. But just play with, what feels right in your body right now, because you're trying to keep the ankles, the feet, the knees, thighs together. And with two blocks, I would just put them like that with blankets or these great little pillows I have. These great little cushions I have. Could put them, I guess it's this way diagonally. Put my feet, my whole shins on one, and then your arms are open sideways so that you really open the fronts of the shoulders. And I think this time of day sometimes this pose is really nice because you're really opening into that backside body. So I'll go ahead and set myself up too, and if Richard comes, I'll let him in. So the head can be in neutral, but if you're okay in the neck, you can always drop the ear to the opposite side if there's a stretch in the neck that feels good to you. And you're really trying to ground down those shoulder blades. And then it really opens that, if your legs are to the right side, it really opens the left side lung so you can breathe deeply into that whole side body. You can imagine your sit bone, your left sit bone, really lengthening towards the whatever's on that side of you, towards the wall. So then there's more length in the side hip, the side waist, the rib cage, and the armpit. So really opening that whole side of the body. And then with the breath, you can really start to lengthen your exhales. Seeing how long you can take an exhale. And then just let the inhale arise naturally after the exhale. And especially if there's some tightness in that side, you can really, as you inhale, feel where you really want to take that breath, where you really want to move that breath more into the side hip or the side waist, or maybe you've got some tightness in the rib cage and you really want to move the breath into that space. And then we'll just take a few more breaths here and then go to the other side, because your body probably has just adjusted to it. And then take an inhale, bring the knees up, and put your support on the other side of the body. And again, if you want to bring the feet a little bit lower to start with, and then after you stay there a few breaths, you can bring the knees up a little bit higher. And either you can look up to the ceiling, so head's in neutral, Or if you feel okay in the neck, you can just drop that ear to the opposite shoulder and get a little bit more stretch in the neck. Again, taking long, long exhales. And then when you inhale, you might feel there's a certain area that you're feeling a stretch in, so you want to take the breath and really expand either into the side waist, the side hips, or the rib cage. And this is particularly a twist for the lower part of the body. But at this time of day, it probably feels pretty darn good after whatever sitting you've been doing, or if you've been in the car. And then inhale the knees up, and place the feet on the floor. And we'll do a little bit of abdominal stuff. So before you start, you can press the heels up and just shake out the pelvis. And then you can slowly lengthen the lower spine down to the floor. And you can also put your thumb on your lower rib and your middle finger on your hips just to find that evenness. You can do a little bit of wiggle to see what you notice, and then see if you could come into evenness. And then hands are either down or they can be under your head, and we'll inhale the knees in, extend those feet up to the ceiling, exhale, bend the knees, feet on the floor. So you're really extending through the legs, because we had them bent there in that first pose, and now we're stretching out the backs of the legs through the heels, moving with breath. So as we inhale, the knees move in, straighten up to the ceiling. As we exhale, the knees move in and the feet soften to the floor. And as we go along, if you want more challenge, you can bring the arms overhead, or you can hold a block between your hands, since I know you have a block. And actually you get more arm work if you hover that block from the floor and use it to straighten through those arms. So that gives you a little bit more work through the side body and through the arms. And then do 2 more like this. And then bring your legs down, arms down. Keep the feet on the floor, just have a little rest where you really fill the abdominals with air, really softening that whole area. And then take the arms out to your side. We'll do what we just did as an abdominal piece. So bring the knees into the chest, and we'll start by going to the right side. So bending the knees towards the right hand, and then extend the top leg. So the left leg's going to the right hand, and then extend the bottom leg to meet it. So you're working back into those left side abdominals as you bring the feet towards the right hand. And then bending the knees, bringing the back to the center. And then exhale towards the left side. And then extend the top leg, the right foot towards the left hand, and then the bottom foot to meet it, working into those abdominals on the right hand side. And then bending the knees, just place the feet on the floor and soften that whole abdominal region. keeping the arms out to the side. Then you're going to press the heels, lift the pelvis up, and shift it just slightly to the left. So it's not a big shift, it's just a tiny shift to the left, so that when you bend the knees up, they're already angling towards the right hand. And then you'll straighten the bottom leg, keeping the knees as close together as you can, and then extend the top leg to meet it, coming back, working into those left side abdominals, and then bending the knees, coming through the center. You need to put the heels back on the floor, just lift the pelvis back to the center, and then you just lift it slightly. So you're just pressing into the heels, you just shift it slightly to the right, then you bend the knees towards the left hand, extend the bottom leg so the left foot's going towards the left hand, and then the right leg extends, working back into those side abdominals. And then inhale, lift the knees up and place the feet on the floor. And then you have two different ways to come up. You can either roll to your side, or you can cross the legs and swing up. So that's just another option. And then come on all fours, and we'll do another side stretch. So we'll start with the right hand and coming down towards the left shin, bringing the shoulder to the floor and the forearm, upper arm to the floor. I guess it's your whole arm because it's the back of your forearm as well. But you can really press into the opposite hand and roll into the shoulder. You want a little bit more stretch in that shoulder blade. And then inhale, slowly come up. And I'll just turn around the other way so I don't have my back to you. And then take that left arm down the diagonal to the right shin. And again, you can press through the right hand to press into the shoulder blade more. It gives me a stretch sort of in the lower part or the lower corner of my shoulder blade. So it's probably going to feel different for everybody. And then inhale, slowly come up and come back to the first side, and we'll do thread the needle. So taking that right hand through, placing the left hand on top, and you press that left hand to extend the top arm, so that rolls you back into the shoulder blade. And then you can inhale the left arm up to the ceiling. And then if you want more stretch, you can start to bring the back of the arm towards the floor. And then slowly release that side. Come to the other side. So this time you'll bring the left arm through, right hand on top. Then you press that hand in order to straighten the top arm. And then if you want to lift it up to the ceiling, you can. And if you want a little more stretch, you can start to bring it, the back of the arm towards the floor. So now we're getting a little bit more twist in the shoulders. And then slowly release that, coming into all fours, and then tuck the toes under and come up to a downward facing dog. And of course you can walk through the feet a little bit. Stretching out each leg, moving the hips a little bit. And then if you'd like to, you can bend both knees, press the armpits more towards the floor, then straighten the legs, getting that length in the backs of the legs as you really lift the front thighs. And then you can bend the knees down and go into big toes together, knees wide for a couple of breaths. And then inhale, come up again, tuck the toes under, hang out in a downward dog. And this time, walk the feet slightly closer in. Take the right hand towards the left ankle, or it can be behind the calf or the shin. And you're just hanging there. So you're not really twisting, you're just hanging there. And then bring that hand back and press into the right hand, bring the left hand to the right leg. So you don't want to collapse on the side, you want to keep the hip long and you just sort of hanging over there. And then bring the hands back out, walk back into downward facing dog. And then again, go into big toes together, knees wide. And then come up again and go into another downward dog. Walking the feet and hands towards each other. You can slowly roll up the spine. Stand just in the front with your feet shoulder or hip width. I mean, shoulders and hips aren't always the same width. And we'll just do another side body stretch where inhale the arms up, and I'm going to grab my right wrist, but you can grab your left wrist, doesn't really matter. You hold it with the thumb and the first finger to give yourself a nice stretch to the side. And then, because you're down here, just do a little, keep the legs where they are, but just do a little twist to look up to the ceiling and then come back to the side. It's just very subtle. And then inhale, coming up, and exhale the arms down. And then inhale, coming up, and get the opposite wrist with the thumb and the first finger. And then you go towards the side, so you're using, you know, this arm to pull the opposite arm. And then you just look up to the ceiling slightly. It's just a slight alteration in the side. Then you come back to the center again. And inhale, coming up. Release the arms, and while we're here, we might as well do a tree pose. So I'll go ahead and do mirror image, so you can stand on your right foot and lift your left foot up, toes point down. We're trying as much as we can to really, it's as if you had a belt right here around your hips, so you're cinching the hips in, really lifting the abdominals, Hands come into prayer. And then you can inhale the arms overhead. And then if you want to do the side stretch variation, bring the thumb and the first finger together, drop the hand down to the thigh, and then there's a bit of a C curve in the other side of the body. And then inhale, slowly come up, release the hands and the leg, and come back into Tadasana. And then standing on the left foot, bringing the right foot up. Again, you can really put the hands on the hips to really feel how the hips cinch in as if there was a belt there. And then hands can come into prayer position. And then inhale overhead. And then thumb and first finger, dropping the hand to the thigh, going towards it with the C curve. And then inhale, slowly coming up, bring the arms down, and then the foot down. And then I'll turn this way, I guess. Play with the angles. And just come and stand on the front of your mat. And we'll do some standing poses. So I'm standing with my right foot forward. Slowly bring the left foot up into a low tree pose. And then bend the front leg. Take the left leg long behind you. Bending the front leg. Turning the body, coming into warrior two this way. And then to come out of it, you bring the hands back into prayer, pivot around, inch the back leg in to see if you can come into that low tree position, and then bring that foot down. And I'll just change sides so it's easier to see me. And then standing on the left foot, you slowly bring the right foot up, hands come into prayer position. And then you extend the back leg long behind you and pivot the torso in between the legs. Hands are still in prayer. And then you float the arms up to go into warrior two pose. Really extend through the arms, bending through that front thigh. Couple of breaths here. And to come out, you just bring the hands in, prayer, pivot around, inch the back foot in into tree pose. And foot down, couple of breaths there. I'll come back to the other side. And then again, bring the left foot up on the right thigh, or it can be low, it can be on the calf muscle or the ankle. Hands come into prayer. Then you slowly extend the back foot long behind you. Pivot around with the hands, and then drop the right arm to the thigh for Parsvakonasana. And you can either stay here with the arm, extend it up straight, or up and over. And then to come out, keep the legs where they are, bring the hands to prayer, pivot around, bring that back foot in into whichever level tree your foot goes, and then release that foot and release the hand. And then bring the right foot up into tree. Hands come into prayer position. Then you extend that right foot long behind you as you bend the front leg, pivot the torso around, drop the left arm, and the right hand can either stay alongside, go up, or up and over. The up and over gives us a little more intensity. Gives us that long side stretch. And then we keep the front leg bent as we bring the hands back up into prayer. Pivot around, inch the back foot in, slowly come into tree, and then release the foot and the arms, and a couple of breaths there into Tadasana. And then slowly stand on the right foot, bring the left foot up, hands into prayer. And this time, as you bring that foot long behind you, we're going to go into straight legs. You still pivot the torso around. Inhale the arms out and come into triangle pose, Utthita Trikonasana. Hand can be on the thigh or the calf. Head can look straight out. If the neck's all right, you can turn and look up to the fingertips. And then you inhale, you come up, you bring those hands into prayer pose, pivot around, inch that back foot in, standing into tree, foot down, hands down. And then standing on the left foot, bring the right foot up, hands into prayer position. As you take the foot long behind you, you come into straight legs, pivot the torso around, arms up, reaching the whole side body into tree pose. And then you can turn and twist up. Look at that top hand. And then you come out, you slowly come up, bring the hands and pivot around, bring the foot back in to tree and the hands down, couple of breaths there. I'm going to stay on this side because we're going to do a twist, so you'll still stand on your right foot, bring the left foot up. And this time, as you bring that foot behind you, it's turned in quite a bit, and you're going to pivot towards the right leg with the hands. Now you can stay here, or you can put one hand on the thigh and one hand on the sacrum and try to get the shoulder up. This is where the blocks come in handy too. But we'll just do this variation today. And then you slowly come up, bring the hands into prayer, and bring that back foot in, into tree, hands down, a couple of breaths here. And I'll switch sides again. Got to remember what side I'm on. So standing on the left foot, bring the right foot up, hands into prayer. Take the right foot, but the toes pivot in more. And you start to twist from the chest with the hands into prayer. And then you can bring the hand down and the arm up or on the sacrum. This is where the blocks come in handy. And then slowly come up, find the hands in prayer. Inch the back foot in and release that foot down and the arms down. So sit in easy cross legs. I've got my right shin in front of the left. You can do mirror image if you'd like. You want a bit of flexion in those ankles. And of course, this is where if you need more height, which I know you don't, Nicole, but you can sit on a block, you can sit on blankets. So I have all those here in case I need them. And then we're gonna take the opposite arm. So I've got my right leg forward, I take my left hand here, and I can actually turn around too. And then I take the other arm behind me, and I press my palm to really give myself a little bit more leverage. So this is a more open style twist. And if you're okay in the head and the neck, you can start to look over the shoulder. But you're trying not to lift the chin. You're trying to bring the chin in level with that shoulder. And then come back to the center, and we'll do the opposite. We'll do the right hand to the left knee and bring the back. The back hand helps us really lift the spine because we don't want to be caving back. That's why sitting on something can help that part. And then we just press that hand in. And if you're okay with the chin, you can start to look over that shoulder. And then coming back around, I'll do the second one facing. You lift up the knees and change sides. So this time I have my left knee in front, take my right hand to the left knee for the first one, the left hand behind, and then I just press in there. I lift my abdominals and I start to twist, but I'm not squeezing my abdominals like I would if the leg's in front of my belly. And then inhale, slowly come back around and take the opposite hand. So the left knee, left hand goes to the left knee, right arm comes behind, and then slowly press that. So starting to open that shoulder, looking over that right shoulder with the chin, if you're all right with that. And then slowly come back around. And this time, extend the legs long in front of you. And again, you can always sit on a blanket, on a block. And I'm going to use bend my left leg in front. And I can actually, I'll sit sideways. That's a good way to go. And so the first thing I do is I lift my shin, so I lift my spine up so I'm not like hanging out like this. You really want to lift that spine. And then you take the left arm and wrap it around, and you can hold it with your right arm so that you're bringing those abdominals into that thigh. And then you can bring the right hand behind you and the left elbow out on that thigh, and really squeeze the abdominals here. And then the twist starts to work up the spine until the chin is over that right shoulder. And then inhale, slowly come back around. Extend that leg long, and I'll stay here and it'll come the other way. So bending the left leg up, holding that shin. And you really press the foot into the floor. You have energy into the right leg where you're lifting above the thigh, above the kneecap, so that the foot leg just doesn't flop open. And then the second stage is wrapping that right arm around. And there's something really comforting or really nice staying right here, you know, squeezing those abdominals into that thigh. And I'm getting a pretty good stretch in my lower shoulder blade too. And then you can take the left hand behind you. So if you're sitting on something, sometimes it's nice to have a block if your hand needs that. And then the right elbow comes on the outer thigh, and that's when you can really squeeze the abdominals in here. Start the twist, lower spine, all the way to the middle, and then the chin can come over the shoulder. And then inhale, slowly come back around. And you can use your couch, you can have a chair, whatever kind of shavasana you want. Like if you wanted to do feet up the wall, that's cool. Or with the chair, I put a little cushion under my sacrum and I can put my legs here and then my arms can come next to me. Or if you're wanting more opening across the chest, you can always do the cactus arms. So whatever is going to serve you best. And then let the breath become soft and quiet in and out of the nostrils. And beginning with the left toes. The left toes are softening. Top of the foot, instep softens. Heel, ankle on the left foot is softening. Your shin, calf muscle is softening. Front of the knee, side of the knee, back of the knee softens. Your left upper thigh, hamstring, quadricep are softening. And your thigh socket is softening. So your whole left leg from your hip, your thigh, all the way down your knee, shin, ankle, feet, toes is relaxed. And then your right toes, top of the right foot, insteps, ankles, heels, shin, calf muscle, back of the knee, top of the knee, sides of the knee, upper thigh, hamstrings, quadriceps, and your thigh socket. So from your whole right hip, thigh socket, upper leg, knee, lower leg, ankle and feet to your toes is nice and relaxed. And then starting in your left fingertips, the palm of your hand, the back of your hand, the wrists, forearm, inner elbow, point to the elbow, upper arm, biceps, triceps, deltoids, and your shoulder blade, and then the front of your shoulder, your collarbone, all on your right side. So your whole arm from your shoulder girdle down, your upper arm, elbow, forearm, wrists, fingers and hands,
are nice and relaxed. Your right fingers, your right palm, the right back of the hand, your right wrists, your right forearms, elbow, upper arms, biceps, triceps, deltoids, and your shoulder blade and your collarbone on the right side. So from your whole shoulder girdle down your right arm to your elbow to your forearm to your wrist, hands, and fingers is nice and relaxed. So you can imagine your pelvic girdle is like a bowl. The outer edges soften, the rim softens, the content softens. Your rib cage, front of the rib cage, sides of the rib cage, back of the rib cage softens. Upper chest, sternum area softens. Collarbones widen out to the tips of the shoulders. And your shoulder blades and space between your shoulder blades are relaxed. So your whole shoulder girdle through your rib cage area down to your pelvic girdle is nice and relaxed. Your collarbone notches soften, your throat softens, back of the head softens, base of the head is softening, your forehead widens and softens, the temples are softening, space between the eyebrows is softening. Your eyes rest into your eye socket. Your cheeks are softening. Your jaw softens. Your lips, teeth, and tongue are all soft, and your chin softens. So your whole throat, neck, face, and head is relaxed. And then slowly begin to deepen your breath, bringing a little bit of movement to your fingers, your toes, your feet, your hands. And you can take any kind of stretch you need to release. Roll to your side and come up to sitting. And then namaste, thank you for coming.